Welcome back to Ask the Attorney. We're here with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm.
Yeah.
And I guess we should do a quick shout out to Murray, who had his baby girl today.
Hey, Murray, congratulations on the baby girl.
Yeah, hopefully he is watching right now, but maybe he's taking care of the baby.
Yeah, he's our protege here at News Channel 5.
Yeah. Well, let's take a couple more of these calls here and keep calling that number at the bottom of your screen, 737 plus 737 7587. We've got Chris here. Hi, Chris.
Yes, I have a question. My sister passed away earlier this year from breast cancer, and she had a lot of medical bills and no assets when she died, so they dispensed her estate. She had no will, but she did have a house that she had refinanced last year and had like $2,000 equity. The children wanted to just give the house back to the mortgage company because they didn't want it.
Yep.
So that's what they suggested, what they did. They called the mortgage company, turned it back over to them. Now they have received a civil summons where the mortgage company is trying to sue all of her children for the mortgage. Are they liable for that?
The only way I could see how they would be liable if they were on the original mortgage. Now, if the mother had got that mortgage and the children co-signed when she originally got the mortgage, that's what. And then, you know, the other thing is, unless they are alleging that the children have damaged the home in some way and they brought a civil suit because the children, through neglect or intent or whatever, has caused damage and diminished the value of their collateral, but that group needs to get a lawyer, and let's just read the lawsuit and see what it's all about.
So they're not liable simply because they're heirs?
No, no, no.
All right.
I'd resist that one.
Yeah, it's a sad situation there. We've got Cheryl here. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. I've got a hypothetical. Let me phrase it this way. Let's say that the American Cancer Society every year presents the Kevin Kennedy Award in Nashville.
Okay.
And they're, you know, like a
501c3
charitable, yes.
Exactly. And so they have certain events that, you know, like dinners or something, might be, you know, $20 a plate, fundraiser, whatever. But this particular event is a free event. It's an annual event, and each year they present the award to somebody different. And this year they're presenting it to Amy.
Okay.
So I've been to this event before, and I show up this year, and it's awkward because, you know, for some reason Amy doesn't like me or something, and they ask me to leave. It being a advertised event, they do ask that you RSVP, and let's say I have RSVP'd, I've done everything, you know, that I should do, and I'm asked to leave. Being that this is not a private function, do they have the right to do that? And if they don't have the right to do that and they do it, then what is the recourse?
Okay, that's interesting.
It sounds like it might not be. I mean, it might be a private function, though. You just
gray area interpret. You know, when she said that, the Cancer Society there in Clarksville every year picked the Citizen of the Year, and I was picked the Citizen of the Year at the cancer event in 2008. So when she said that, I was reflecting over that. I hope you could win the award. Like she said, as a general rule, yes, we're going to have to make an interpretation. Is this a private event? And if it is a private event, private property, do those owners and the people that have a right to ask you not to be there? I would say that's probably true. Now, if it were something that it was clearly discriminating against you, then there may be a claim somewhere. We just have to know more and more facts. But
simply because they're a 501c3 doesn't necessarily make it a private event.
No, and I think that may have been your question, and she named it. The 501c3 is pretty much just used for donations, and they take that work, and of course they have board of directors, and whatever funds they take in, they make decisions on how it's dispersed.
Okay. We've got Sandra here. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Hello.
Kennedy, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a family church, and the church that has a graveyard behind it, and it's 4 different sets of families, and it's been over 100 years of different family members. Now some of the church members are starting to charge for a burial behind the church for the family members. Is that legal? And if not, can the people that they have charged for the burial plot behind the church be reimbursed for their money?
Okay, good question. Gray area. First off, was there ever any written documents? Probably over 100 years? No. We have a family cemetery just like that, and it goes back over 150 years. And so who owns the plots? And as a general rule, family members can do that. I don't necessarily believe that the church actually owns that graveyard, because the church cannot just go in there and bulldoze graves and do whatever. They are not necessarily required to maintain it. So we'd have to try to evaluate who actually owns that. Has it been designated a graveyard owned by the county, by the city, or what? And of course, family members could sure make a claim. Go back and look at the deed, look at the survey, see what they're saying. We'll have to do some investigation on your situation.
Okay, it's an interesting question. And again, we're going to put Kevin's information up after the show. We've got Joe here. Hi, Joe.
Hello. I have a question.
Yes.
Seems like we have this big problem with teen trafficking all over this country, and I remember a story that happened in the mid-'90s. About a girl that was in that, and from 11 to 16, and she got into some trouble and ended up in prison with life without parole back in mid-'90s, and she spent 18 years in prison for it, and she's out. And the same story happened in Nashville back in 2003 to a girl that went through the same situation, and she got in the same trouble, and people looked at her, she's a murderer, she's a killer. And the girl that's in there in prison now is named Centoria Brown. And I felt kind of bad. I was like, well, she never got a fair trial, she never got the right help, or people never really looked into the story. How come nobody never did this, especially from a lawyer's point of view?
Yes.
They just looked at her as a throwaway, just block her up. But the other girl got a few years ago, she spent 18 years from the same situation.
Wow.
Being in the teen trafficking and getting into trouble by, breaking the law.
Yes.
Breaking the law and spending 18 years instead of doing her whole life in prison. How can we fix that where a child that's been through that has to grow up and do an adult act just to get out of it,
Yep.
that has to spend the rest of their life in prison like Centoria Brown is doing now?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that has bothered me a lot about being a lawyer for 31 years is I have, in my experience, seen people that are charged with the same crime, sometimes in the feds, sometimes in the state, and they get two totally different sentences, but it's the same crime. So that has always bothered me. It bothers me that some people hire the best lawyers, and the people that have the best lawyers, they usually get a better deal than those who can't afford to get those lawyers. So one of the lessons that I've learned from that is get the best that you possibly can. And remember, the state, I have a lot of confidence in state lawyers. I really do. Now, personally, they probably would never let me have a court-appointed lawyer, but I talk to lots of them, and they have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. But again, what you've identified on the phone, sir, it bothers everyone.
Yeah.
Because we all want to be fair. We want to seem like everybody's treated the same. And then from my standpoint, when I've had many trials, multiple defendants, and I had a number of trials that mine was found not guilty. Everybody was found guilty, but mine was found not guilty. Well, I was thrilled because of that, and I wondered, of course, I always maintained mine wasn't the culprit in the middle of all this. Mm-hmm. He was a victim, and but you make an excellent point, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, and the system's certainly not perfect.
It's certainly not perfect.
Yeah. All right, we've got Shannon here. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Hi. Go right ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, I've got an uncle who got hurt on the job.
Yep.
Back in 95 or 96. And he's losing the muscle in his arm and his hand. and he's got lifetime on it, and they're just giving him medication to rub on it.
Yep.
Is there anything he can do about that?
Yes, you know,
Workers' compensation claim?
that's a workers' compensation claim. He should go back to his original lawyer who handled that if he's still alive after 20 years. If he's not, he can go hire another workers' compensation lawyer. And you're right, in the old days, we got medical for life. And it gets down, will a medical professional say that he needs surgery again? If so, they need to pay for it because through his, and keep your documents. You know, a lot of people make those mistakes. They say, well, we settled it. I threw those papers. Well, guess what? You may need those documents 10 or 15 years later, especially they come into play if you go to the hospital and they have to do emergency surgery. Say, hey, my workers' compensation insurance is supposed to pay that bill. I'm not going to pay that $20,000 bill. And, you know, you can stay in the hospital a few days. It's $80,000, $100,000. It's shocking how high these medical bills really are.
Right. Well, we're handling all types of questions today, any type of legal question that you've got for Kevin. So call that number, 737 plus 737 7587. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back.